Hello and welcome to the Coffee House. I'm really excited to get this going. It's a new idea that I wanted to start on my channel. This is going to be a series of longer form videos where I sit down, usually with a guest, and we discuss a trending topic in football. The Coffee House was a place where in Austria during the 1920s, when football started to boom over there and they became one of the best national teams in the world, it was a place where people would sit down with their friends and colleagues and just talk about the sport. They'd meet over a coffee and talk about the tactics, the players, the coaches, and the overall state of football over there and in Europe at the time. And that's what I want to do in this series. I want to have proper discussions with people that know their stuff over a coffee and really delve deeper into some interesting topics in football. I'm going to be uploading this both on Spotify and YouTube, so if you want something to listen to whilst you're walking the dog, whilst you're doing some work, then you can do that. Or if you want something to watch, then you can check it out here on my channel. So welcome to the Coffee House, and I hope you enjoy. Right, I'm here with Louis of TalkMCFC. Louis, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. Plucking away. Happy that the Premier League's back, obviously, and ready to get into it.
Nice, yeah. How's it going with the page? Like, what's your life, your journalism life looking like right now?
Yeah, so the page itself, like, I'm trying to maintain as much as I can. Obviously, last season I had a lot more time. I've got an internship at a football club this season, so doing all games with them. So with City, it's kind of like in the week post as much as I can and build up, and then match days what I can watch I'll post on. But yeah, trying to sort out what I'm going to do for games where I'm not there and I'm at some random League One ground instead.
Yeah, it's all part of the fun. All part of the fun.
Of course.
Right, yeah. I thought we'd have a chat about City and the current season. Obviously kicked off on Friday. Nice little 3-0 win against Vincent Kompany's Burnley. So it's a good start. I think most people would have expected that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the feelings before that game are still pretty much the same. Feel free to correct me on that. But yeah, since winning the treble, obviously last year, like unbelievable season, like easily the best team in the world. That's not a debate. But like one of the best teams of all time, I think. And I think after the recency goes, it's going to be a big debate, that, isn't it? But like overall, what's the feeling around the fan base and around the club after that treble win?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. So I managed to go on Friday night to Burnley, and it kind of felt like still kind of like a party atmosphere in the away end. Like we were just chanting about the treble and chanting about last season pretty much all game. And so that stood out to me because I was kind of thinking, like, I wonder what the aims are for this season. I almost think because of what happened last season and even the season before with like 100 points and domestic quadruple and all that people, especially City fans of old, aren't actually too bothered, I'd like to think, this season. Like, obviously want to do well because we kind of done everything. I think if we say dropped off a little bit, it wouldn't be as big as a deal anymore because now we've actually done everything.
Yeah.
If anyone would tell you.
Yeah, a bit like a sigh of relief almost. Finally doing it after.
Like we in the away end, I know some people started chanting Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that in the away end. So it's just like, like the self-deprecation, but it's funny. So yeah, it's the big relief because I think if you asked any City fan a year or two ago, it's like, it's nice to win the Premier League, but it's just the Champions League now. It's all focused on that. But I mean, I'd like to think that we've got a really good shot of, everything again. But De Bruyne going off after 20 minutes is quite a concern, I think, and bigger than people think. And I also thought, the Burnley game, even though it's 3-0, it looks really comfortable. And I know it's like easy to say, but without Haaland, I'm not sure if we actually would have won that game or not, because he literally had 6 touches in the first half and scored twice, which is ridiculous in itself. Yeah. But both chances, like the first one, it was his first touch of the game and he scored from it, which is quite obviously so rare for a striker. And then the second one, the chance has actually gone dead. Then he just picks it up and puts it in the top corner. So I don't know. Burnley, credit to Burnley because they carried on playing football, like even when they were 2-0 down. I think a lot of teams was just shut up shop and tried not to concede too many. But I don't know, mate. I think the feelings just carry on where we left off, I guess, and just see what happens, really.
Yeah. What do you think the aims are for this season after sort of doing everything? Do you think one competition will be prioritised more than another. What do you think like the priorities and the aims are?
Yeah, I think with Pep, he's just such a perfectionist, isn't he? He wants to do it well at every single competition. Obviously, it would be nice to win another Champions League, and I think most people say that's the main one we still want to win, even though we've won it once, like just to get more on our record. And because obviously a lot of teams have one on their record, just go a bit above and beyond that, and especially the team we've got, you'd like to think so. And then, I guess push on with the Premier League again and hope like 4 in a row would be a new record as well, actually. So I suppose records are still definitely in the mindset, and seems to like to break them because he's broken enough already. So just to carry on with that. But I don't think it'll be as easy as people are trying to say, because everyone's predicting City will win the league, like literally everyone. I don't think it'll be quite that easy, and especially to do it 4 years in a row. There's kind of a reason that's not been done before.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of the transfer window, so you've brought in Guardiola, which is obviously incredible. I think it's a great signing. Kovacic as well. But then you've lost Mahrez, you've lost Gundogan, which removes a fair few goals, especially from midfield, doesn't it, really? How do you feel this transfer window has gone, especially compared to previous ones? Like last year was an incredible one in terms of sales and incomings, wasn't it? How do you think it compares, and are you confident around the squad at the moment?
Yeah, well, I think, you bang on with obviously last transfer window. I think it's probably the best one we ever had. Like we sold players for incredible amounts of money for what like the current situation they're in. Obviously brought in Haaland, brought in loads of good players. This summer, like you say, Guardiola, I think it's a really good sign. He's incredible. Like when he came on, he looked so good. But there's almost an element of me that thinks like, it's great that we signed him, but like how much of a necessity was he in the team? Like obviously Cancelo's going, and Pep wants to play this kind of 4 centre-back system a lot of the time, albeit he didn't do that on Friday night, but he wants to do that quite a lot of the time when Stones is fit, when Diaz is fit as well, and he fits in perfectly to that. And I know he can play as a fullback, so I think he'll be brilliant. And Laporte's been linked with leaving a lot this transfer window, so if he's to go, then obviously that's direct replacement. Kovacic, I think, is like he just fits in perfectly. He doesn't. A lot of people take a while to settle in at City. Like there's a lot of names you could list, and like the main one obviously at the moment, Calvin Phillips, has taken him a while to get used to it. But Kovacic, I mean, he's a lot more experienced, fair enough. But he's come in, and he like when he came on for De Bruyne the other night, he just fit in perfectly, and it was kind of seamless, the transition. But no, I think with Mahrez, so Kovacic, I think is a Gundogan replacement, or good enough that it can be at the moment. I don't want to compare them, but as much as it can be. But Mahrez, I think a winger is still probably a necessity. We've been linked with a few. Linked with Elise quite a lot from Palace, and then also Jeremy Doku from Liga, who obviously plays for Belgium.
There was Paquetá as well, wasn't there?
That's what I was about to get on to. I think that's an interesting one. Because apparently City had a £77 million bid rejected for him. So I don't know. I think he's a good player, but is he like that?
Like if they rejected that, that's mental.
Obviously, like it's according to reports and stuff. But like you said, if that's true, then I think that's ridiculous. But I did see after the Burnley game that because of De Bruyne getting injured, that City are really going to push that Paquetá on the most.
Okay.
Out of those 3 I mentioned, but I think personally that the winger should be the priority, especially if Mahrez going and us already getting a centre mid.
Yeah, and on that, do you think what are your opinions on Cole Palmer specifically? Because he came on in the Community Shield, obviously scored that really nice goal to get the team ahead. Does he have the potential for this season? Like long term, I think he's a good enough player probably to be in and around that squad a lot more and play a lot more consistently. But for this season, if you weren't to bring in that right winger, do you think he could do that job?
Yeah, Cole Palmer's an interesting one. I think last season there's a big part of me. I think I saw a lot of City fans tweeting about it and things like that, saying like, "Is he good enough?" Like he's coming on for these albeit cameos a lot of the time, but he was coming on and starting cup games a lot of the time, and some Champions League group stage games he'd start. And he looks good in some, but people think it's not quite enough, and he doesn't look quite good enough. And I think the biggest one, we played Chelsea in one of the cups, either the FA Cup or I think it was the Carabao Cup actually. We played Chelsea in, and he just didn't look quite like he was, I don't know, almost ready. Rico Lewis has come in, he's incredible. And the same with Foden as well. But I think those two are quite an exception to the rule with most youngsters. They're just ridiculously good for their age. But then I thought, new season, a fresh judgment on it. I don't want to jump to conclusions. And then against Arsenal, he looked incredible when he came on. He scored a really good goal. I don't know. I don't think he's quite ready, but I think he will be in about a season. So I don't know. He's been linked with a lot of loan moves. I know it's a good thing with if we do get Paqueta, like if Palmer was to go on loan to West Ham and we'd get Paqueta as well. I've seen that's been reported. Yeah. And I think that would be quite a good idea. And you'd like to think he'd play quite a lot at West Ham as well.
Yeah. If you could only pick one player to bring in for the rest of the transfer window, who would that be for you?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It can be like realistic or someone who literally hasn't been mentioned. So go for anyone.
It's a tough question because the thing is, I think the winger market at the moment isn't great. Like, I don't think there's loads of in terms of who's available. Yeah. But obviously, you'd want someone ridiculous to come in like a perfect winger, and there's the obvious names you'd mentioned, but obviously that's not. I want to try and be realistic. I don't know. Paqueta would be good. And it's funny because in the concourse on Friday, City fans were chanting "They just sold my car" chant, which I thought was quite interesting. But they're just mocking it, but I thought it was quite interesting. But I do think a winger's more of a priority, to be honest. So I think I'd lean towards Elise purely because he's got the Premier League experience. But I mean, Doku looks great as well. But I mean, but even I think the only thing I think about those two is they're both still very young. And then when you got Cole Palmer, is that a bit harsh? That's the only thing I think. Yeah. But maybe they're a bit more accomplished because of game time they've had.
Yeah, essentially. And in terms of outgoings as well, obviously Cancelo, like, almost definitely going to leave at some point, isn't he? Do you see anyone else going or that needs to go, in your opinion?
Cancelo looks like he's going to Barca. Which I think is a shame. Like, obviously, with everything that's happened, I don't think there's any coming back from that with Pep as the manager. But I think he could have even. I saw someone say this. I think it was on TikTok, and he could have even been great as a winger replacement.
Yeah, probably.
Like playing on the right hand side where Morris was playing, he could have been really good.
Yeah,
but that's gone anyway. It looks like he's going to Barcelona. I think Laporte at the end of last season. I think in the Chelsea game when we won the league, he was kind of on the pitch, like quite emotional. So it looked like he was set to leave, but then nothing's really happened with that, which I think is quite interesting because he's been linked to clubs, but nothing concrete. But I do think maybe his time's up as well, especially with Guardiola coming in and get cash in on that, but invest elsewhere. Yeah, but I think other than that, it's pretty set. Obviously, a lot of people said Calvin Phillips, but I think he deserves more than just a season as a chance. I think that's a bit harsh. Yeah, especially with what he used to be like and what he's been like for England.
Yeah. And how players at City usually develop as well. Like the first, I know he's had a lot of injuries, which doesn't help, but like almost every signing City make, they good in the second season, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Like think about how many people wrote off Grealish first season, and then last season he was really good. And it's just you could list so many, like you say, like Bernardo was the same, Laporte was the same, Cancelo was the same. I think Haaland and Diaz off the top of my head are probably the only two. Probably Walker as well. Yeah. He definitely deserves more of a chance. But I just think it's so hard to get in that team when you've got Rodri in your position. Yeah. Like it's probably the hardest one.
Yeah, no, I think, definitely. I just want to touch on Phil Foden for a minute. I think he's quite an interesting case. Like his whole City career, I think, especially. He sort of like drifts in and out of the team, never really established himself long term in one position in particular anyway. Do you think he'll have a bigger role this season? And will he become like that main guy, or even not even that main guy. Like Grealish at the back end of last season, like half the season, was one of the first names on the team sheet. Yet Foden can't really get to that point. What do you think his future looks like at City?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, because I remember looking last season, like you say, he was never kind of concrete in the team, but every time he came on, he'd score or assist. And so his stats looked ridiculously good. Like, I remember looking at them. He had like over 20 goal contributions by the end of last season in all competitions. So that's ridiculous for how many minutes he's played as well, if you compare all of that. But no, I'd like to think so. I think with Mahrez going as well, it looks like, I mean, Alvarez has been playing in that front three the first couple of games, which is interesting. But it also looks like Bernardo is going to play on that right-hand side a lot more than playing through the middle. And Foden came on through the middle against Arsenal and looked really good. And a lot of people have been saying he's better through the middle. And I think because he came through the academy as like a number 10, he probably is. Like, he was only paid as a winger, I think, purely until he grew into the men's game a bit more and bulked up a bit more, but he could still do that. And you know what Pep's like, he plays everyone anywhere half the time. So he was playing on that. He was playing on the wing. But no, I think, with what the rumours and reporters are suggesting, it looks like Pakisar is the main one. And if that is the case, and I think Foden will have, that only benefits Foden. I think if we were to get a winger, I don't think that would be as good for him. Purely because I think him and Pakisar are very different, whereas him and Elise or something are fairly similar in some respects, or like closest to each other. But no, I think he'll have much more of a bigger role this season. He started on Friday night. I think that's hopefully a sign of things to come.
Yeah. Obviously, the Community Shield didn't go to plan in the end. I mean, Arsenal had a slice of luck, didn't they? Which was probably overdue from the amount of times they've played you and done it. How do you think the title race looks this year? Are you worried about Arsenal in particular, or maybe Liverpool or United? Do you think it will be closer than last year? I think most people think it will be closer, but City will still win it. How do you feel about the other teams sort of challenging that end as well?
Yeah. Like I mentioned at the start, I think it will definitely be a lot closer than most people say, because I literally looked. I think every single Premier League table prediction on the planet's got City at the top of the table, which is I mean, I know it's been like that for quite a few seasons, but I think this is definitely the first time I've seen literally everyone put City top. Like, I think last season quite a lot of people were switching it up because it was going to be 3 in a row. But maybe because City have been that good with the treble last season, people are thinking, they'll just do it again. But no, I thought Arsenal looked really good against Forest. I know it was only 2-1 in the end, but I think they looked really good. And I think in the Community Shield as well, I know it's only the Community Shield, and there is this record as well where every time City have lost the Community Shield, they've won the league. So that's quite a silver lining to it. But Rice, that's what I was getting onto. In the Community Shield, Rice just looked incredible. Like, he was so good. And I think that's going to be a massive thing for them, because they had Xhaka and Partey last season, but I don't think they had that world-class holding midfielder. He's going to be there, like, regardless, like Rodri is for City, and like Busquets was for Barca for all those years. He's going to do that. And then also United as well. They're playing tonight, aren't they? It'll be interesting to see what they're like. I think they'll be a lot better. I know Onana's been getting stick for getting lobbed from the halfway line, but I don't really think that was his fault, in fairness. And they've recruited quite well. I'm not sure on Hodgson, though, if I'm honest. I'm not convinced just yet with that. But I think, and then I say that I was going to say they're the main two competitors, but then like Liverpool, I thought looked really good yesterday. I know they drew in the end, but they looked really electric, and considering they played basically a front six yesterday and then all the midfielder, that's pretty good.
And I think Chelsea away this season is going to be a lot tougher than people expected to be after last year. I think they're looking good. So I don't see anything wrong with that result, to be honest, for them.
No, exactly. Away from home first day, they're going to be up for it. New manager. And like Pochettino's got so much experience as well. Yeah. Chelsea's team was funny, wasn't it? It was like Thiago Silva in an under-21 team.
It's so young.
But no, I think main three, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, and I don't think it'll be anywhere near as distant as people think it's going to be.
Yeah. And just to sort of wrap up, there's a bit of a theme when City wins the league, I feel like, where it's sort of tight for the first half of the season, and then Pep just like flicks something or like
Yeah,
tweaks something, and then City just walk it for the rest of the year. And
plays
I
like
mentioned
3-2,
this,
4-1.
yeah. I mentioned this in my predictions. If you haven't watched them, go watch it now.
Yeah, look at that. We love that. He's getting
Shameless,
accustomed to this.
shameless plug. um, so last year it was like the Stones in midfield, 4 centre backs sort of thing,
Yeah.
and then you strolled to every trophy pretty much. Do you expect? Like, I think we can all expect a little tweak like that to happen this year as well.
Yeah.
Any guesses as to what it will be? I said in my predictions that I could see like a 2-striker thing because Alvarez and Haaland have been playing a little bit together.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that. But any ideas on what predicting what Pep will do to win Man City that 4th league in a row?
Yeah, that's a really good question, to be fair. I think what you said, with Alvarez and Haaland's a great shout. Especially because I think Alvarez is probably too good to be on the bench every week, isn't he? Like with how good he's been.
I feel a bit sorry for him.
Yeah, definitely. Same, mate. Same. Yeah, I think that's a really good shout. Trying to think. I think with De Bruyne being injured now, it could be the midfield could look quite different. Like, how De Bruyne's normally the main guy and threading in all the balls in behind.
Yeah.
And he sticks to that position. I think you could almost see with Foden dropping into that role, but then if we get Paquetá as well, him dropping in, Bernardo dropping in. And almost like I could see as well, Foden and Bernardo kind of switching on that right-hand side, like mid-game, like almost like Foden plays through the middle for a bit and then switches Bernardo and vice versa because it's not that main creative player. And then I think Rico Lewis is going to have a much bigger role as well. Like I know he obviously did really well when he played last season, but I think he's going to play a lot. I'd like to think he's going to play a lot more as well this season.
Yeah.
Obviously Stones was injured first game, and it was really interesting because I was trying to work out what formation we were playing at first because it looked like a 4-3-3 when it was lined up, like Rico Lewis at left back. But then, like how Stones from centre back normally goes into the midfield. Well, Rico Lewis was doing that from left back, and then Ake was shifting across. So I think, that's slightly different. But I think the striker thing, or that kind of in midfield, I think the dynamics in midfield will look quite different with how it will work and how Kovacic fits in, Foden, Bernardo, and then obviously Paquetá comes as well. It would be interesting to see what he does in that system because, I think it's interesting with him. He starts West Ham. He only kind of hit it off at sort of the last half of last season rather than the start. But he starts from Brazil as well, doesn't he? Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd say more dynamic in midfield. The 2 strikers is a good shout, and especially if it's not working. I think if the goals. Well, I don't think the goals will dry up, but if they were to, then to play two through the middle. I don't know. Yeah, it's a really good question, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it depends on sort of who's available as well. Because
exactly.
At the start of last season, you still had Cancelo playing until January, and like he was doing his fullback thing, like pushing forward, putting inside, playing as sort of that, like you said, Rico Lewis did. And then Rico Lewis did it a bit more. And then Cancelo went, you didn't have him, and then the 4 centre backs thing came in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so hard to predict.
Pep just has, he just sort of like sees what happens. If there's any injuries, he just works with what he's got and somehow turns them into the best team in the world. So, we'll sort of see how it goes, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's bang on with who's available. That's why when you asked me, I kind of alluded to the De Bruyne situation because who's a big player's injured, he'll switch it up and change how it works. So I think the way City will set up, I mean, in the Super Cup as well in Seville, but next Premier League game as well will be interesting to see without De Bruyne.
Yeah, and finally, what do you think City will win this year?
Oh,
in all the competitions, which one will you win? Because you'll win at least one. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I think we're due a Carabao Cup again.
With your one season off.
Yeah, I know.
We were so long.
We were 4 in a row. We're due a Carabao Cup. So I think we'll win that, and then I think either the league or the Champions League. I don't think both, but one or two.
Okay, nice. Well, Louis, thanks for joining me.
No worries, mate. No worries.
Where can people find you?
Just at TalkMCFC on all socials, and then at Louis Rittle on Twitter if you want to see what I get up to, aside from just being City obsessive as well.
Great. Yeah, me and Louis, we also have like a channel / podcast that we're sort of uploading like sporadically a little bit, aren't we? It's
once every 4 months.
Yeah. But we're gonna have some stuff up on there soon, so I'll leave a link in the description to that if you want to go and check it out. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Louis, and
no problem at all.
I'll see you in due course.